My name is David Birnbaum. I am a global garment industry specialist of some note. I work for major retailers, brands, factories. I work for governments. I work for international institutions such as the World Bank. People hire me to make their companies or industry more successful, larger, more profitable. They hire me also to explain where the industry is going, what the future will be like, and what steps they should take to play a more increasing role in that future. No one in all the years that I've been working has ever hired me to be their moral arbiter. My role is much more practical. Recently, I wrote a short series of articles which I published on LinkedIn, where I have an important presence, on the subject of sustainability. I was not looking at sustainability as an ethical issue, but rather as a cost. And the idea was there is a cost to being sustainable. The factory, the customer, the retailer and the brand have to pay more to be sustainable. However, there is a cost for not being sustainable because there are consumers, perhaps small at this point, but growing, who will not buy your product if it is polluting or causes more global warming or is unsustainable. And that cost, the cost that comes from their not buying, is increasing and is reaching the point where the cost of being unsustainable is higher than the cost of being sustainable. Anyway, I published the article and I received a comment last week from a professional who is more involved in ethical and social behavior. She thanked me. My point was that she attends many conferences, webinars, etc. on ethical subjects. And in at least one instance, a factory owner spoke up and said, "I can't afford to be sustainable. The costs are beyond my means. I have limited funds, and with those funds, I must use the money for more practical purposes." Well, the woman was shocked. To her, global warming is probably the greatest problem facing humanity. It will affect the entire civilized world. How can you not make the investment in sustainability? She wrote me to thank me because for the first time, somebody explained the actual costs. And somebody said, to be unsustainable is going to cost you money, which gave her an argument. She was shocked to hear this from the factory owner. I was not. Because in my world, ethics is a matter of geography. It is not that I'm claiming that the people in Finland or Denmark are more ethical than the people in China or India or Pakistan. It's something else. That our ethical standards is based on how we are personally, how our family, how the people around us are affected. How many of us know about Myanmar? How many of us know that in 2003, the Myanmar government took a large segment of their population, Muslim people, burnt the villages, shot the men, and raped the women, and took 700,000 of them and threw them out of the country, where they are living in camps in Bangladesh. God knows how many people were killed along the way. How many of us know that 2 weeks ago, that same government arrested the entire democratically elected people running the government and took control again? How many of us really care? And I'm not criticizing you, it's simply a fact of life. How many of us know about Ebola? How many of us would, in our newspaper, our local newspaper, would see Ebola on page 17 below the local high school basketball scores and think, oh, Ebola's an out-of-state basketball team. These things don't affect us. The closer things get to our lives, the more we are affected. And this is what global warming is about. We don't care that polar bears are dying in the North Pole. But we do care, if we're living in Miami, Florida, that for 2 months a year, our streets are covered with water. And the water is rising every year. The good news is that this occurs during the summer months, which is the holiday or the all-important tourist off-season. But it's increasing. How many of us are beginning to care that throughout the world, the farming areas that we rely on for our food supply are undergoing great drought, or that forest fires are becoming endemic? The closer it's getting to us, the more we're going to care. You reach a point where if you're living in Texas, that home of go-it-alone libertarian society, and your electricity goes off for 4 million people, you begin to care. Or that those people who receive electricity, that their bill that last month was $300 is $9,000 this month, and even after they turn on the electricity, you can't get drinking water. The situation in global warming is going to get worse, not better, which means more of us are going to be affected. When that happens, people go through 3 phases. The first is fear, that the things we took for granted as being natural to us disappear. They're taken away. The second is anger. And the third is blame. If you are unsustainable, if you are a retailer, a brand, or a factory, you're not going to be in trouble next Thursday or next month or even perhaps next year. But the anger is growing. And the time will reach that if you're a factory and if you're unsustainable, that you're going to be out of business, your factory will close, your wife's going to divorce you, your kids are going to have to leave school to go to work, and you're going to be mumbling in the street how unfair life is.